Hey, welcome back everyone. It is time for another red hot covered call video. Well, hey, look, today we're going to talk about the sandbox. We've talked about this time and time again. We want to identify a stock's sandbox because what we want to do is be able to identify when the stock is sold off and what is its potential expectation in terms of a move over the next 30 days. So that's what I call a sandbox. And what we're looking to do here is look at a stock like Square. Square has been absolutely pounded. We know this. And you could see since March when it got blasted with earnings, notice the sandbox. It's making lower highs, yet it does have this sandbox effect. It does have this trade that we could bank on. Now, it's falling. It's a falling stock, so we need to identify that. We would love to have Square do this all day long, right? Because we can identify the lows, the highs, so on and so forth. But that's not where we're at with Square. But what I want you to notice is this. Square right now is absolutely testing resistance at about $60.25. Now, it hasn't done this in a while. If it breaks this resistance and stays above it for 3 days, that becomes potentially new support. Then the question is, what's the new resistance? And quite frankly, it's right there at 64X. You could see it right there. Here they tested it. Here they tested it. If this thing breaks through, that becomes the sandbox, right? So the sandbox then becomes this trade right here. So what we want to do is identify that sandbox. So it has to break through and stay above support for at least the next couple days. If it peels off, we could be headed back to support again. And depending where the stock market's at, this thing can continue to fall. Then we have all kinds of things determining its market cap. I mean, this thing has already been beaten down such that it might be fair value. So at a certain point, it's just going to become undervalued and Wall Street will put a couple bucks at it. Now, with that said, that is the sandbox effect. We're looking for the sandbox. So I own 1,000 shares and I haven't put these things to work in a while because my sandbox for this was back up here. And of course, that's now gone. So what we need to do is this. We now need to identify the new sandbox. And clearly, with today's big move, that's about a 3% move, if it can break this and hold it. So what I'm thinking about today is this. I'm going to look to write a covered call at the next potential resistance. Because this is my take. And this is where I think you'll get the most benefit of this video. There's no outstanding news. There's no dividends. There's nothing outside of earnings unless something unexpected happens. Well, we don't have a crystal ball, so we have to essentially play within our sandbox, hoping there's nothing going to crush the stock or have the stock fire off the charts. So what I'm looking to do here is this. I am going to play this 65 strike because I believe the way this thing trades will do this. It breaks through this resistance and probably does this kind of thing. And it's going to test that resistance right here. It's going to test that 65 to 64X resistance. And that'll probably take about 30 days. Okay, that'll take about 30 days. So if I put on this trade, I use the 65 strike, and we put it out there for 30 days. What'll probably happen is this thing will trade ebbs and flows. It'll probably test that 65, but it'll give me an opportunity to possibly manage the trade. And if it pierces 65, when I buy it back, we can roll it to the next potential resistance, which might be 70. Okay, so that's what I want you to identify. Identify a stock's sandbox. Identify resistance, identify support, and then what we want to do is identify where it's at in its current range and the expectations of where it goes from there. So in the case of Square, right now it's trading for $60.34. We're looking for it to break about 60.50. And if it breaks above 60.50 and then stays above it for the next couple days, 60.50 can be near-term support. And now we're looking for that 65 being the new resistance. Okay, that's how we're going to look at this. Now, if I place this trade, write a 65 covered call, pick up a crumb or two, and it falls, we're just going to buy it back, and we're going to essentially find the new sandbox. It's all about Sandbox. We're going to talk about Sandbox because this is a critical part of your education when it comes to picking great stocks and great opportunities with covered calls and cash secured puts. We have to identify a stock's sandbox. But more importantly, when we do identify that sandbox, when it trades in the lower 25 percentile, that's when we want to get involved with cash secure puts or buying some shares and then writing a covered call. It is essential that we have great entry points for any stock you use. Okay, so it does not matter. That is key. Great entry points. And we only get there if we know a stock's sandbox and or trading range. So with that said, I'm going to leave it right there. I am going to do a trade with Square today, but now you know the setup and now you know why I'm going to pick that 65 strike. Hey, look, be safe, be healthy, most important, be lucky. Until next time, may all your covered calls be profitable.